Hi guys, for today's lesson we're going to be dealing with correlation basics. So what do I mean by the word correlation? Well, it's also known as association. It's a term which describes the relationship between two variables. So there are common words to describe correlation. So the idea is we can have strong correlation. It's all about like describing the relationship. So we can have a strong relationship, if that makes sense. Strong correlation. That's where the dots are tightly packed into a straight line pattern. So if you're seeing something like your scatter plot looking like this, that suggests an obvious relationship between the two variables x and y. Like that could be height and that could be weight. As one goes up, the other goes up. It's making an obvious straight line pattern. So that we'd call that strong correlation. So the tighter these dots are packed into a line, the stronger the correlation. Even if it's downhill, that's still fine. They can be packed into a downhill line. That would still mean strong correlation. Weak correlation is when your dots are loosely creating a straight line pattern. So we can kind of see an uphill pattern here, but they're loosely following it. It's not creating a nice, tightly compacted line. That suggests there is a possible relationship, but it's definitely not an obvious relationship because the dots are relatively random, but they're still showing weak correlation. There's still an uphill trend here. Positive correlation is when the dots are following this sort of uphill pattern. Positive is means like a positive gradient. It's going uphill. We consider uphill to be positive. That means that as our x increases, our y is overall increasing. So that's the sort of relationship you see from positive correlation. If you've got negative correlation, that's where the dots are following a downhill trend. So you can see here they're roughly following that sort of direction. That means that as x is increasing, the y values are actually decreasing. They're going down. So that's the sort of relationship you have when you have this sort of negative correlation happening. Zero correlation, that's when your dots don't follow any trend. They seem randomly placed, so they're all over the shop. That suggests that there's no relationship between the x and the y variables. And lastly, you can have a non-linear correlation. That's when the dots follow a curved pattern. So you can see here they do follow a strict pattern, but it's a curved looking shape. Hope this helps with the questions. Good luck.